Who wants a pot of coffee? I just made coffee. You want a cup of coffee? Sure, there you go. Who wants coffee? Anybody else want coffee? Who wants coffee?
And now it's time for the man with the caffeine, the new tropics for the brain. It's Coffee with Mike. Hang in, hang tight, grab your cup, and let's get this thing started.
Welcome back, everybody, to Java Chat. with the wonderful things of ID10T error, user errors that happen, we are back. We're back with a gentleman who I found online through either Instagram or TikTok, and wanted him to come and share his story because, and I don't know if you guys have been watching this, but throughout the trend of what Java Chat has shared with you, just about every guest has a similar experience, all unique to each person, but fairly the same in the journey, if you will. So I found Jeff Schafer. Jeff, thank you for coming and joining us and being willing to share your story here on Java Chat.
Absolutely, I'm so happy to be here.
It's an interesting thing that a lot of listeners, we have a lot of younger listeners too. I was very surprised when I was looking at our analytics. They must be listening for some reason. I'm assuming some of it has to do with people's stories because everybody thinks they're an island in the sea. And what nobody realizes is it's an actual archipelago. We're all pretty close to each other. We're not very far off. We're all our own unique little spots, but the journeys have a similar flow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I've come across many people in my life, and I really am amazed each time when they start to say things that say, and bells start going off in my head, right? That was me. Oh, just like that. Exactly. I think that's part of what makes us so successful as a society at its root is that we all go through things similarly. We just don't know it because some people don't share it.
It's true, and I think a lot of people are afraid to share, only because they do believe that it's only a them experience. It's not necessarily an everyone experience. And again, while absolutely unique to each human, the journey of being a human has got a pretty similar flow. No matter how you look at it, we all grow, we all learn, we fail, we succeed, etc., etc. But when we begin to share, as the social beings that we are, we begin to see the similarities. And again, we become the little groups and peoples that we have become. I would love for you to share your story, how you got to where you are today, because you are a successful entrepreneur and you're still succeeding and you're still building. But it all starts somewhere. So where did it start for you?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I grew up in a very small area of Ohio, and again, I did not feel a little bit like I had a lot in common with many people, although I did feel a little bit unique in the sense that I was in a situation where I grew up in a small school district where my dad was a teacher, and I felt very much like I was isolated because of that, and I was treated differently. I was bullied. I was sort of harassed because of that and other things that were either perceived or real, and I felt like an outcast, quite honestly. And as I grew up, I sort of built resiliency, right? I mean, that's what we do as humans, right? We either get through it or we get stuck. And I'd say to people all the time, we are standing or sitting or walking right here because we've gotten through 100% of life's adversities.
Yep.
Whether you feel like you've overcome it or not, you've gotten through it because you're still here.
Yep.
You're listening to this, and you're telling you're telling your story somehow to somebody somewhere. And whether you have a small group of people or a large group of people in your life, it doesn't matter. Quantity is not the important part. It's about finding the quality people in your life. And I was lucky enough to come across a great community of people that accepted me at every level, right? Whether I was fat, whether I was skinny, whether I was smart, whether I had a lot to learn, they accepted me no matter what. And I think the thing that most people struggle with is that they feel like that's never going to happen for them. The reality is, in the world of social media, in this day and age, we are always going to find our people.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because, people pay attention to what they're attracted to, whether that be image, whether that be authenticity, whether that be some kind of lifestyle that people are involved in, and then they ignore the rest, right?
Yeah.
It's easy, the
Yeah.
click of a button, right? And so I feel like that's really when I started to really dig into connecting with people on a level. And there's so many people out there, I think, because they're ignorant to what social media actually offers. They don't know just how real of a connection you can make with people, because we start to become more vulnerable. We start to share things that we never would have shared before because there's a filter, right? There's a barrier. There's some safety in that. And some people do go off the rails and treat it like a kind of a free for all. And then there's people like myself who've just settled into the idea that sharing exactly who I am is safe. I can do that, and I'm going to find people that accept me for that reason.
It's interesting too that most people, and this is talked about by a few of the social media celebrities, they consistently try to impress on people. If you're worried about what other people think about you, you're thinking about the wrong thing.
That's right.
Because there are people out there that do identify with you. I mean, look at the communities that are being built on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, even on Twitter. I mean, when they have their tweet ups and stuff, and the amount of absolute participation that happens on all of them, it's huge.
It is.
But it also tells you, and there's another one too. My son participates in a bunch of what are called Discords, if anybody has ever heard of that. There's a huge community on there, and he's like on 10 or 11 of them all at once. And I had no idea how he does it, but they all know each other, right. To the point that they take trips with each other for air shows and stuff like that. I mean, he literally flies out to other states and goes and hangs out with these guys. I've met one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason that I met one of them was because he happened to come here to Las Vegas once a year. Got to talk with him, found out he was a solid dude. And his first trip away from home with this social media group, I literally was on the phone with him going, "This is my only blood. I'm counting on you to take care of him because I can't be there." And his response was, "You have my word, sir, he will be safe." And I was like, good enough for me.
Yeah.
When you find that, when you started getting into this whole realization that your story mattered, because it does, how did that begin? I mean, where did you start picking up on the aha moment that, oh shit, there are some people that really that can identify with me?
It was when I started branching out into interest groups. So, the way social media is set up is, especially Facebook, is that you can join groups that have themes to them. And a big theme for me is fitness, overall wellness, mental health.
Not by the way you look, not a lick.
Thank you. Honestly, there's some real genuine people out there that are looking to help others, and not necessarily for profit. I mean, this is an amazing opportunity for people to connect at a real level. Mm-hmm. And the days of posing in front of a Lamborghini that belongs to somebody else are over and done with, right? I mean, and I know that we all say the word authenticity, right? But it's real. Like, we're actually telling real stories to connect with real people on a real level. And when I started to connect in those groups, that's when I really found my tribe, right? It just made sense that I was getting resources and connections with people that actually cared about what I cared about. And it was no longer superficial. It was all about really digging deep into who we are as people.
What was that like? Like, what was I mean, when you have that realization and you find the group and you start connecting with everybody, was it overwhelming or was it relieving? Was it, what was the result of that?
Right. It can be overwhelming. And at the beginning it was, because I didn't quite understand how to filter through some of the noise, right? There's still a lot of noise out there. And for me, it was about really, connecting with people who had this, not genuine, I mean, genuine is there, but I think that it was something that was, that connected with my heart, right? And I needed to make sure that these people, and it's like vetting anybody in your life, right? I mean, to me, it's no different than meeting someone at the grocery store or at the gym or, out shopping. There's something about them that says they're okay. And for me, it was about doing that. And, it was about being consistent too. I really found that the more I got involved with the group, the more I posted in the group about what I was interested in, I found people that also had that interest. And that told me the people that I really needed to connect with.
Did you end up like creating your own group and starting to do something there just to create more community, or what was the evolution of that?
Right. Yeah. So I actually belonged to a group already of people that was interested in a lot of things that I was interested in. And I sort of really try to pull people to me who are interested in the things I'm interested in and sharing with them what it is that I'm doing. Because as I said earlier, when we keep things to ourselves, I feel like it's too selfish. I really want to share the good things that have helped me in my life. And that's how we help society at large. And so I do have a group of my own. I think we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I want to tell everybody that who's nervous about social media or don't really know what's out there, is just get involved. Just find a group that connects with your interests, your hobbies, something that you've always wanted to do, or something that you were interested in earlier in your life, and maybe you're trying to rekindle that. Get involved with the group and just look at the posts, find out who's in there. In this day and age of COVID and in the pandemic, and if anything, we've learned that connecting virtually can be just as effective as connecting in person.
And I want to add on to that. When you're online looking for these groups, realize that the amount of noise that's going on right now around all of that, around politics and stuff, it's never been louder than it has in the last year. I mean, right. Absolute loud.
Yes.
You're probably going to have to do some sifting through the sand, if you will, to find the gold. It is the way it is. Right. But if you make that time and take that time to go through, and you will find those people, and you'll find them in sometimes some of the most unsuspecting places. I came across you purely by chance, and I think I swear it was an FYP thing. For those of you that don't know, it was it's called the For You page. And as I was scrolling through, Jeff popped up, and I looked at it, and I was like, oh, he's cool. I watched a few of his videos. I'm like, oh no, this guy needs to come. So it's if you're worried about what you're going to come across, realize it's as easy as next. That's right. Or as simple as, well, I didn't want to search that out. What else is there? And just keep going until you find something that makes sense. Pretty simple.
Absolutely. The features involved in doing that sifting through the sand, as you said, is there. I mean, if you, it's just like I said earlier, when you're meeting somebody in person, you get a weird feeling about them.
You'll know.
It's almost easier virtually. You can just hit that block button, and then you don't have to see that anymore.
I wish people would remember that.
Yeah, exactly.
How often do we? It's like, dude, I get it. You don't like what I talk about. It's called block.
That's right.
You never have to see me again.
That's exactly right. I mean, it's really in my journey. It's been an evolution of my confidence, right? And I think that's the thing that a lot of people struggle with, is their confidence. Their confidence in putting themselves out there, being vulnerable, but also letting people in, right? And so I think if you remember that, it's as easy as saying, I have a sixth sense about this, I'm just not going to go there, and hitting that block button. Every time you do that, you gain confidence, because you've taken control over your life and the people that are in your circle. One thing, and this is a theme throughout my entire life now, it's like a theme. I listened to somebody very influential in my life, and she said that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yep.
And so if you think about the 5 people that you spend the most time with, evaluate what qualities they bring to your life. And those are the qualities you want to be looking for in people that you decide to let into your life. Because again, we all start to pick up on or feed off of those influences that are in our inner circle. Mm-hmm. And the minute we let something negative in there, it starts to become a virus, and it just spreads. So, so I'm very cognizant of that, and I encourage other people to do that as well. When I go live on Facebook to tell my story or share some type of tip or provide value to my followers and my friends, I tell them and I thank them for spending time with me, because I'm honored to be part of that circle of people that they spend time with, and I'm very humble to have received their time, because time is the only absolute commodity that can never be received, right? We cannot create more time. Once we give it to somebody, it's theirs forever.
Yep.
So it's really important to remember that the people that you choose to have in your circle and the time that you spend with them is the most basic and most foundational thing in relationships.
Great advice, killer advice. Guys, we got to take a short 30-second break. We'll be back, and then when we get back, we're going to continue that part of the conversation, as well as what makes Jeff do what he does. Jeez, I need more coffee. What Jeff does and why he does it. The big why is always a big question behind things, and I think in his story we'll find some really good inspirational points. So we'll be back in 30 seconds. And we're back here, Java Chat, Coffee with Mike, hanging out with the Jeff Schafer. I had to do it that way, just throw it in. We were talking a little bit about building communities and building trust, being authentic, and things around social media and how to manage, growing your own circle. Your journey moving from being a teacher's son to the next phase and the next phase and the next phase. What was the first one that hit you? Before then, I'm assuming this is before social media really started hitting, but what was the first one that hit you and that made you started going, there's got to be something more to this?
Well, first of all, I think I want to go back to sort of my development of my professional career.
Okay.
I'm a licensed social worker by profession, and when I went to college, I came out of not just those experiences as a child with my dad and the bullies that found me, but also some pretty traumatic sexual abuse with me as a child. And so I kind of carried some of those things with me. It was a whole processing of it over probably about almost a decade. But when I went to college, I started in engineering school. I actually kind of transitioned from doing electrical engineering and on to college, and I felt like I was really lost. I didn't have that thing that really connected me with what I was doing, what I was learning. So I actually went to the guidance office and said, I feel lost in this. I need some guidance here. And so they said, here, take this exam, this inventory, and it will tell you what your skills are, what your interests are, what you're good at. So I took this inventory and it spit out that I needed to be in the helping profession. So I started taking classes in psychology and just fell in love with it. Finding out how people work, how people function, how people evolve, how we develop. That was the thing that really hit my heart. And so I began to study psychology and got a bachelor's degree in psychology. And then I went to my academic advisor and said, okay, time to find a job. And he said, oh no, you're going to be going to grad school. I said, that's not what I want to do. I've been in school now for 5 years, because switching majors added a year onto my schooling. Oh, yeah. So which is a typical story, I think, for most people. But so I said, I'm done with school. I really need to get out there and actually dig in and help people. I've been learning about all this, and I want to put it to the test. And so he said, good luck, and excused me from his office. And so because I wasn't ready to do what he wanted to do,
like literally just like, okay, good, see ya.
Yeah, that's exactly how the conversation went. He said, I've given you my advice. You don't want to take it, so I wish you the best. No additional paths to follow, no additional advice to pursue. It was all about just grad school, and that's it. And again, I don't know if there was some kind of financial kickback. They wanted to get more people enrolled in the programs. I don't know. But so luckily, I connected with somebody who I knew from an internship when I was working on a suicide helpline in my senior year, and he actually got me connected with child welfare. So I actually began my career in child welfare as an investigator of child abuse and neglect. And so it's completely not at all what I thought I'd be doing.
Yeah, right.
But it's just sort of a testament to the fact that even though we don't know what's in store for us, we aren't sure about it, if we open ourselves up to it, it provides us with such an amazing experience. So
How old were you in that?
my initial plan was to go to this career, get some experience, and then eventually go back to grad school in something that I felt connected with. And so got married, started a family, and time gets away from you.
What age was this? What age did all this happen at?
So I was 22 when I started in child welfare.
Wow. So you started considering, all things considered these days, that's kind of early.
Right. Yep. I went straight from college into my career in child welfare and started in 1999. I'm going to age myself a little bit here. In 1999, I started in child welfare, and again, felt like I was going to just do my short stint in child welfare and get out and find something else. Well, 10 years later, I was still there. I had found my passion. I had found something that just connected with my soul. And I was helping people. I was, I was in a thankless career where people did not want to open the door and literally welcome me into their homes, but I somehow had to find a way to do that. And for anybody who's been in any kind of public service, you have to understand that either you evolve and you engage in the communities, or you're going to get eaten alive. So I learned how to lean on supports that I never had before. I remember I grew up in this small town, right? I didn't have a whole lot of experiences with other cultures, and I went into this urban setting in Cleveland, Ohio, and found myself immersed in this totally different culture that I wasn't familiar with, and I had to make it work. So I did.
How long did it take before you finally felt like you were getting what it was like to work there?
Wow, it probably took a solid 18 months. It wasn't, that was when the shock wore off. That's when I started to realize, okay, I have a place here. I'm doing good things. Regardless of the resistance that I get from people, I know that I'm making a difference. And so, but in doing that, I really had to lean on people to remind me of why I got involved. And so I'm glad that you mentioned it that way when we started this segment, because it's really important to remember why you do things. I talk a lot about thinking of reasons why you do things instead of excuses why you don't.
Right.
It's that shift in mindset that really can make a huge difference in everybody's lives. And so when I found my why, I started to connect deeper and deeper with the mission that I was on to sort of help families function healthier. So ironically, my family situation at home was not going so well. And I really ran into a situation where I felt like I was emotionally in danger. I spent all my days helping others sort of sort out their difficulties and their dysfunction, and was ignoring what was going on behind my doors at home.
Easy to do.
So in 2009, I sort of had a huge wake-up call when I, after a series of events, found that my wife was having an affair.
Oy.
And so, when you think about the devastation that sort of thing can inflict on people, and believe me, I did experience that feeling and that roller coaster ride of devastation. But, it's those defining moments in your life that actually teach us the most about ourselves. For the first time in a very long time, I felt a burst of confidence in myself and stood up for myself in a way that surprised me. And when things like tragedy happens in our lives, it really gives us an opportunity to really do an evaluation of who we are and where we're at. And so for those people who go through trauma and really horrific things, anybody who can get through those things can tell you at the end of it that it's the lessons along the way and the challenges that they had to face that really had them grow as people. And so, you would think, unfortunately for me, I didn't take that confident moment and run with it. It was a burst and it kind of fizzled out. I ended up staying in a broken marriage for 6 years after that. And, just like most people you hear about, I stayed for the children. I stayed for a reason outside of myself. And looking back on it now, it was the best thing I could do at the time. And it was the noble thing to do, right? It was my role as a father to take care of them. And the way to do that is to keep them in a household where there was, 2 parents. And that's a very traditional mindset, but I found another way. So I figured, and you talked about how people sort of plant themselves along the way as sort of like forks in the road or street posts, directions, signs to tell you to kind of give you some kind of sense of where to go. I was sitting in my driveway one night in a pit of despair, contemplating the end of my life. And my neighbor came out and just kind of happened to want to talk about something that was going on with him. And that conversation evolved into something that saved my life. So to this day, I don't think that I've taken the time to thank him for that, because he had no idea what he walked into. But it's those kinds of things that really, for me, because remember, I had worked on a suicide hotline, so I had a little bit of background in how to manage those situations. But for myself, I couldn't apply it. So I tell people all the time that if you're not feeling good about the situation right now, wait till tomorrow, it'll be better. Wait till tomorrow, it'll be better. And even if it's not, you've still given yourself an opportunity to experience what's next. And I'll tell you, where I was at back in that driveway to where I am now is so drastically different and better than I could ever imagine. And it's because I kind of built this compass in myself to weed out all of the negative influences. So I came across a community of people who I found through a mutual friend, and they are just a burst of positivity and a burst of acceptance that I've never seen before. They provide so much inspiration in my life. I connect with people all over the world now because of this. I mean, I literally have people that I can call on anytime and say, hey, I need somewhere to stay. Could I crash? Or I'm going to be visiting this area, let's get together. And I always have somebody available. So, I came across this this community, and it started to dig in. I started to say, this is where I feel like I'm at home, and it really evolved into something that now has provided such a legacy for me and my children. By the way, I got divorced, all of that, worked itself out. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of times when I spend, some conscious time thinking about how thankful I am for that experience, because now I actually know what kind of relationship I want, because I have a contrast of what I don't want. Yeah. And so that's another reason why I think it's really important people take a look at their lives, because the more people spend so much time on the negative, I don't like this, that person's mean to me, all that. So if you know what you don't like, you automatically know what you do. So it's really about kind of trying to flip things around and spin it, as we say. So right, we have to take the good with the bad. And I say all the time, we can complain all the time about, you mentioned politics earlier, about all the negative things that you hear in politics. And just remember that for every horrible thing that you hear or negative statement that people make, there's a way to think positive from it. So I connected with these people and found that it wasn't just an opportunity to find positivity and love, unconditional love, but it was also an opportunity for me to build a business.
That's cool. That's we were just talking about that coffee mug. I had the same mug.
I love this thing, right?
Have a nice day?
It says be a nice human.
Be a nice human. That's the one.
Be a nice human.
Yeah, and the reason that we both enjoy that cup is it's positively huge, which means you put a lot of coffee in it.
Positively huge is right.
Positively caffeinated.
Absolutely. We all need that. So I found, I entered the world of network marketing, and network marketing, for some people, they struggle with that. But I'm going to spin it like this. I'm going to say it like this. All of us, most of us watch Netflix, and we enjoy certain television shows.
Sure.
You go to work, or you at your next family function, you tell people about that Netflix show, right? Watch this amazing show, changed my life, gave me all these perspectives. I love it. You should watch it, right? The thing that most people don't realize is that's network marketing, because you're sharing something that really has affected you in a positive way with others, because you want them to experience that same thing you're experiencing. The difference is when you share your review of a Netflix show, don't get commission on that. Right? Netflix doesn't give you a kickback for saying that you love the TV show that you watch. This is where people can build a community to help others have a better experience with life, and actually build income along the way from simply holding a device in your hand that everybody holds in their hand all day long anyway. And so I thought, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing, but there's so much support, and there's so many resources available in this particular team of people, that there's no way to fail. The only way to fail is to quit, right? The only way to fail is to quit. And so just like all the experiences I had through going through all those tragedies in my life, I thought to myself, I can't, once I do this, I have to keep going. I can't quit, because if I quit, then I'm checking out, and then I'm not going to be able to see what's on the other side of this. I was able to actually build something that is an amazing platform to do the things I love to do, and that is help people enrich their lives, and also support me and my kids.
It's interesting because when I found you, the stuff what you were sharing was interesting information, general information. Actually, you weren't even talking about any products. You were just basically sharing, hey, this is what's going on in the world of nutrition. And that's what caught my attention. You said something real interesting about that. And I just had a guest recently, and this is what he said. He said, failure is just a data point. Defeat is when you quit.
That's right.
And that I found that extremely profound, because it's true. Every failure is just a lesson to be learned.
That's right.
So if you fail once, okay. If you fail twice, 3 times, 10 times, 15 times, sheesh. The guy that created WD-40, if you've never heard that story.
No.
40 different formulations before he finally got the one that works.
Wow.
40.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And because you're talking about chemistry here. You don't just get over there and go, oh, I have to throw some zinc and throw some, well, no, not water. Maybe we'll throw some hydrochloric acid. Here it is. It doesn't work like that. It didn't work that way with Edison. It didn't work that way with anybody who invented things. Whether it was an epiphany or not, there were still iterations that had to be had. So numerous failures. What's the big one? Post-its.
Oh, yeah.
The biggest failure on the planet made somebody a multi-millionaire. Yeah, I mean, it was supposed to be better than Gorilla Glue or Super Glue, and failed miserably. Well, there you have it. And it was a data point. All they did was switch it. This is for anything in life, as right. Whether you're building a business or whether you're just trying to get your head wrapped around what your purpose is. You're gonna have failures, and it happens. Right. Having a community like what you're talking about definitely brings about a not just a support. What's the word? An infrastructure of sorts that will allow you to make the climb a little easier. You'll have the encouragement when you need it. You'll also have the support if you slip.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great communities do that.
Absolutely, yeah. And I had no idea, no reference point when I started this. I kind of fell into it because the person who introduced me to it, I was in a relationship with, and it was simply, here, drink this thing, it'll make you feel better. I was in a really bad place. My fitness career, I was in a really bad place emotionally in my life. I was still trying to process the divorce. I was trying to figure out what kind of father I was, what kind of single father I was going to be. And she's just like, here, take this. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll do anything once. And so I try this thing. And I'm like, wow, it's like all the wires connected, everything made sense. It tasted great, it had me feeling amazing. And anytime I do something that makes me feel good, I'm going to keep doing it. I want to keep doing the thing. And so before I knew it, 10 days in, I was feeling amazing. 10 weeks in, my body started to change, and I was feeling stronger. I was sleeping better. There's a whole lot that comes along with taking care of yourself. And I didn't have any clue what was going on. I thought I knew stuff. I didn't know stuff. I didn't know anything. And so I just got this thirst, literally, for knowledge, for figuring out what worked best for me. And then when I figured that out, I figured I need to share this with other people. Yeah. So you found me on TikTok. I actually joined TikTok March of 2020, right when the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And that's when everybody was sort of like losing their jobs, struggling. Everything was falling apart. And I said, I'm going to dig in, and I want to find as many people I can help as possible. And so I did that. And I started sharing recipes. I started sharing my fitness. I started sharing my life. And I did a video about how to save money on your electric bill. Like, I just wanted to help people at their root because there were so many people struggling.
Yeah.
And the more and more I did that, the more and more I realized there were so many people out there that just craved something else, something bigger, something better. And so I started sharing the product, and they just started loving it. And then it wasn't just about a product. It was about people. It was about a community. It was about being there for people at a root level, and helping them through broken marriages like I was in, helping them through finding their identity. I mean, I connect with people who are middle-aged or older who are still struggling with who am I? And I offer coaching calls to people, and most of those coaching calls have nothing to do with the product. They have everything to do with what they're going through in life. Mm-hmm. It has to do with, who am I? How do I get through this? And my background in psychology, my background in social work helps to fuel that aspect of my business. And so
I want to jump in there real quick and just kind of clarify a couple of things, because what you're sharing is what's commonly known as the servant leader attitude. And it's not exclusive to anybody who's got a psychology background. It's not exclusive to anybody that's got a social work background. For anybody that's listening to this, as an entrepreneur, as a business professional, as whatever it is that you're doing, if you come at life with that kind of attitude, that you just want to help, if you can, you just want to help people, you will find that your personal brand will increase by leaps and bounds. Listen to what Jeff just said. Half the coaching calls, if not more than half the coaching calls, have nothing to do with the business that he's in. They have to do with the person that's on the other side of that line. He's there to help them figure out where they're at and where they're going. Sometimes it's just letting the person talk it through. I'm one of those guys. I got to talk stuff through in order to figure it out. So I get on a call with my business partner. I'm like, I need you to listen. And he goes, go for it. And we go through it. And by the end of that call, it's like, I got it. Thanks. He didn't say anything. I mean, like, he was dead silent. If you're doing like what Jeff's talking about, as you're building your brand personally and your business, it will be much easier for people to connect with you simply because they see you as not just a one solution, a one trick pony, if you will. They're not just seeing you as a one solution kind of deal. They're seeing you as part of their community. They're seeing you as part of a place where they can come and if you want to call it, be safe, be supported, be nurtured, et cetera, any of those things. You may not even have to say anything, but being there will make it much easier for somebody to come back to you when you offer, like what Jeff has in his process. We'll talk about that stuff in a minute, but what he offers isn't a product. he offers clarity. He offers introspect and perspective. We are in ourselves. I learned this from one of the religious leaders that I know. It's so funny. Humans are so good at tearing apart things outside. Why? Because their eyes cannot turn around and look in. If you could pull your eyeballs out and turn it around at you, maybe you might get a clue. For the most part, that's our biggest challenge. We're always looking this way. So when we do it in a manner of looking at somebody going, I can see there's something up. How can I be a support to you? First off, they're gonna freak out and be like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I just see some things going on, and I don't like seeing you in this way. I don't like seeing you in this frame. Do you need somebody to talk to? Do you need something? I mean, how can I help?
That's right.
And then sharing the value that he's been sharing. Look, I mean, he did a video on how to save money on your electric bill. Jesus, he's in the nutrition industry. What the hell is he talking about electric bills for? Because he wants to help. It's a genuine, authentic human being human.
That's right.
And if more entrepreneurs, business people, everybody were more like that, the office gossip would slow down a hell of a lot.
Oh yeah.
A lot more productivity would be had because people would be not worrying about the bullshit that's going on in their life, but looking for the good shit, if you will.
That's right.
And how to push that forward, and how to push forward as a team as well as an individual. It's a different mindset, y'all, what you're hearing here. Jeff and a lot of my other guests all push that. It's not, and what's really funny is it's freaking addictive once you get used to it, isn't it, Jeff?
That's right, it is. And I'll tell you, when I first started on TikTok, I thought, this is gonna fail miserably, but it's okay because again, it's an experience, right? I'll tell you, and this is not me bragging. This is me just giving perspective. Today I have over 50,000 followers on TikTok.
It's way more than me, dude.
I only have that many followers because I provided a piece of who I am. That's what got the attention of people. It's not, and that's why you said organic, right? All the things you just said is about explaining what organic connections are.
Yep.
This is not about a business transaction. This is about a relationship. And so all of the people that I have in my community, all the people that I've touched and changed their lives, I know them personally, or I've made a conscious effort to. I have over 400 people in my community now. Okay. And that is unreal. And I've only been doing this less than 2 years. And, most brick and mortar businesses tank in the first year.
Yep. Yeah, they do.
And here I am. I have no brick and mortar. All I have are the resources on my phone, and I'm still going strong. So everybody who likes to bash or to somehow turn a nose up to what network marketing is, the proof's in the pudding. All right. I'm driving a car right now that is bought and that's paid for by my business. I don't have to dip into my full-time income. I do this part-time, by the way, for those people listening. I do this part-time. This is not my full-time job. All right. I don't have, I don't have to, devote all of my time into this. I can do this part-time and still have a life. And so there's a lot of resources out here, a lot of ways to do this that people don't understand. And I want to share that with them.
Yeah. It is not your quote unquote traditional business. As much as it's mainstream these days. And there's been a lot of good and a lot of not so good in the realm. And sometimes people want to blame the company. Sometimes people want to blame the leadership. You know what? Honestly, if you're looking outward, you're not really taking the time to look at what you really need. Because I know guys that were under horrible conditions in this business that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Their leaders sucked, were never available, just anywhere. The companies were horrible. They did things to the field that were just, I've seen it all from startups that never made it past year one to super established companies that literally shut off the whole field and took things in a whole different direction because the shareholders wanted to do something else and screwed everybody out in the field. And yet I know some guys that were either they read the writing on the wall and made some moves or moved on to the next deal. They didn't let it stop them, and they're still doing very well in other businesses to this day. I knew one guy. He had a group called the Top Gun, that literally named after the movie, because like
Yeah.
the whole, I mean, they had a web page, full icon. It was the plane. It was a Tomcat. And I
Wow.
thought, oh, that's pretty cool. And he had a list of his top performers, who, of course, including himself. They were well into 8 figures. And I'm looking at that going, man, they just left such and such company, and they're already over here just like blowing it up. What the heck? And then I met him. I had a chance to meet him. Four of them were all leaders. The main guy was the only one that wasn't constantly on his phone. The other three, like every 5 seconds, phone turning on. Hey man, what's going on? Yeah, we're here. We're doing this deal. Yeah, absolutely. Who do you got? I mean, they were just like non-stop, three-way conference, whatever. I'm looking at them going, and this is why they're succeeding, because they will do what it takes to make it work. Even after being screwed so badly by the company that they were with previously, they recovered in no time. So you were talking about resilience earlier. One of the biggest things in any business is resilience, whether that's network marketing, traditional marketing, direct selling. It doesn't matter, entrepreneur, brick and mortar. Resilience matters, because as the general that's going to lead the charge, you've got to be able to take the first arrow. And most good generals already got a bunch of scars on them from taking the first arrow in just about everything. So when folks like you come out and all of a sudden, hey, I've been there. I know what it's like to get stabbed. I know what it's like to get sheathed and just completely run through by a javelin. I get it. I know what you're dealing with. Let me show you how I dealt with it.
That's right.
Maybe this will help you. Most people are afraid to face that, even though they've already been run through. I mean, how many people have you come across that are like that?
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, I think everybody I talk to will say that they have experienced some type of tragedy or some kind of backstabbing, or another company that they were involved with that just wasn't there for them.
Yeah.
We're different in the sense that we provide so many training opportunities, so much connections with people. I literally, like I said, I can pick up the phone and call my upper leader. Okay. I can call, her name is Jessie Lee Ward. I don't know if anybody in the network marketing space will know who I'm talking about if I say that name. And the reason why is because she has built something out of literally the basement of a house she was staying in. And she has now earned a pedestal in the network marketing space, because she did something that was a pioneer move, right? So she said, I will build on social media. And everybody who was in network marketing at the time said that's going to completely fail. And she just used that as fuel to spark something that was just, I'm one of over 20,000 on my team. And that is a huge accomplishment. I'm a small fish in the sea, but I still show up on those leaderboards. And it's because I've actually dug in and actually taken advantage of the resources that are available here. And I want to show other people how to do that as well. Because as I mentioned, I drive around in a car that is paid for by my business, by the efforts that I put in. And I think that there's people out there that have smaller goals, like a tank of gas, a date night with their spouse, groceries in their cupboards, maybe a vacation that they've been dying to go on. Now that we'll probably be able to go on vacations again. All of these things that people say, oh, well, someday. No, why don't you start today? Why don't you start doing that today? And the reason why it's so, it's not easy. It's about being uncomfortable and building something out of who you really are, and finding those people who want to run with you.
It's interesting. You remind me of an old somebody I used to work with. He's and I think he still says it to this day. When is a good time like now to get started? Because you can always say tomorrow. You can always say, oh, I'll do it in a minute, which becomes 5 and 10 in an hour and so on. But it's like, when's a good time like now?
Like, is it day one or is it one day? It's that simple.
Yeah, and I like the way you did that, because it's actually reversed.
Yeah. Yep.
But you put it in the right frame though. Is it day
Yep.
one? Like,
Day one.
are you going to
This is
sit
it.
here and tell me that you're going to stick with that other side, and like do the, come on, man, let's be real here. You know, what's the real reason?
That's right. That's right. The reason is you deserve it. The reason is you are the thing. We connect with people that we need to take care of, because I think I've come across so many caregivers in the business that I'm in, and we don't remember that taking care of ourselves is so much more important.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to really shift people's mindsets to being mindful of their own needs before they start to give to others, because we wear ourselves thin. And so it's really important to remember that before we do any other good deeds for others, we need to make sure we're filling ourselves up first.
Sweet. Guys, we're going to take another short 30-second break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about what Jeff's actually working on. We'll talk a little bit about his company and what he does, and then a little bit more about where you can find him and see some of his stuff, because I'll tell you, his content's good. So we'll be back in about 30 seconds. Welcome back, Java Chat. Coffee with Mike, sitting here with Jeff Schafer. The other one I did the head thing. This one I got the. We're talking a little bit about resilience on the break, and some of the things that some of our communities face this day, especially with everything that's happened over the last year and a half or so. Resilience is a big deal, and he actually does that. So if you ever wanted to follow somebody and hear about some of that kind of stuff, he's the one to follow. He's the one to find. We wanted to chat a little bit about nutrition, and the reason for that is because with the lockdowns that have happened, it's become an unfortunate joke called the COVID-20. Which is understandably, most of us were locked down in our own homes. The ones that were the gym goers were the ones who mentally suffered the most, but the rest of us kind of just got complacent, and all of a sudden we're looking at the scales going, good Lord, what happened? One, you forgot what you had in your house, and then just started going through it. The other side of it is you really don't quite know what you're dealing with your own physiology. So Jeff, you have, there's a couple things. One is that's talking about ketones, which is a big deal. And I'd love for you to kind of expand on that a little bit, what it does, what it's for, and how it can actually help the body start resetting. Absolutely.
Yeah. So exogenous ketones are the product that I provide. And the thing that most people don't understand is that when they hear the word ketones, they think keto, right? Because the word keto is ketones, right? And not the same at all, right? So the keto diet actually started back in the 1920s and before, but 1920s is when it was really used to sort of address adolescent epilepsy. And so they learned that by depriving the body of carbohydrates and increasing the ketones in your body, there were less symptoms of epilepsy in adolescents. And that was because their brains were using ketones versus glucose, and it's such a cleaner fuel source that the effects of the way that epilepsy affects the brain was lessened. So that's what that's about. But as we've kind of learned a lot more about ketones and what it does for the body, it's so much bigger than that. So I started using exogenous ketones back in June of 2019. And back then, I didn't even know the difference between a carb and carbs, proteins, fats. I didn't understand the macros of our body, didn't understand all of the balance that needed to be done. I was just eating for pleasure, right? That's what most people do. If it tastes good, I must be wanting to eat it. And the reality is that the food industry has created such a hyper palatable class of foods out there because it's cheap to provide. It's easy to store. It lasts forever, right? It tastes amazing. The thing is, those are the foods that trigger your body to have such a proclivity to store fat, right? And so people get into this habit of thinking that TV dinners are good for you because they have clean food, they have vegetables in them, they have potatoes in them. Those are the good things for us, or meat. What's the problem with that? The problem is there's so many hidden ingredients and things in there that really set you up for eating more, right? So anybody who's anybody in the fitness industry will know and tell everybody that it's all about calories in versus calories out, right? And quite honestly, it's more complex than that. But just to think of it this way, nutritionally, if you eat 500 calories above your caloric maintenance every day for a week, that's going to be a pound of fat.
Mm-hmm.
So 500 calories, 7 days equals 1 pound of body fat. That's 52 pounds of body fat every year. Okay. And so when people blink their eyes and or like you said, during COVID, they've gained 20 pounds, that's because they have not paid attention to what they're eating, not just how much they're eating, but what they're eating, because it triggers so many things in our bodies. So I learned that exogenous ketones curb my appetite, right? It stunts that trigger in my brain that says, go get that Dairy Queen that I want. It says, it stops me from going to reach for the candy bar in the fridge that I have in there. It's telling my body that I have a source of energy that is going to be there for me. Okay, it's a sense of security for me. I don't, when you eat carbohydrates and you fuel yourself that way, then you burn through them so fast. It's like throwing twigs on a fire. They flare up, they get really hot, and that's why we crash, because they burn out so fast. But what the idea with using ketones is that you train your body to use stored fat as fuel. And so ketones are not ketoacidosis. So I want to dispel that right now too, because some people who are diabetic hear the term ketoacidosis and they think, if I drink ketones, I'm going to go into ketoacidosis and it'll be hard for me. I'm not a doctor, so I'm going to say I'm not making any medical claims. I encourage everybody who has a medical condition to talk to their physician before starting any kind of supplementation. But I will tell you that ketoacidosis and ketone use are not always the same thing. All right. So I started drinking ketones. Within the first 10 days, I felt amazing energy. In the first 10 weeks, my pants started to fall off of me. And before you know it, I was building a physique that was far superior to any way I've ever felt or looked in my entire life. I will be 45 years old in September 2021, and I can run circles around 20-year-olds. And I am proud of that. I'm doing a lifestyle challenge right now. I'm doing 75 hard. For those of you who don't know what that is, it is a lifestyle challenge that really challenges you to do 2 workouts a day, drink a gallon of water a day. You have to, it's a grueling experience with shifting your lifestyle towards something healthy. And I just, even though I've already kind of gotten into that, I feel like this is another way for me to shift that yet again and kind of even take it to the next level. But ketones are my fuel source. Ketones are exactly what I need to feel amazing. I have more mental clarity. I have better skin. I used to have adult acne. I don't have that anymore. Sleeping through the night. My digestion is better. I couldn't eat certain things. I couldn't eat red meat, Mike. Before this, red meat I loved it, but it didn't love me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I got you.
Now I can actually tolerate things because my gut microbiome is in such better shape than it was before. And the thing that most people don't understand is that we don't take care of our gut. We aren't going to absorb the nutrients that we need to be healthy human beings.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We don't absorb our nutrients in our stomach. It's in our gut that where all the good things happen.
Yep.
And if we don't have healthy microbiome, if we're not having probiotics, prebiotics in our body, we're not taking good care of ourselves.
Yep.
And so ketones actually help with that digestive process and actually help me absorb the good things from the food that I eat. I started with keto and didn't stay on it very long because I learned that it was too restrictive for me. So to drink ketones, you don't have to be keto. I'm not keto. I eat carbs sometimes, all right? But I drink ketones because these ketones are actually going to put me in a state of ketosis to burn fat as fuel in less than an hour, okay? These are naturally fermented. These are bioidentical to the ketones that our liver produces in our body when we deprive it of carbs, only I don't have to do that to be in ketosis. So for anybody who's considering exogenous ketone use, and the only exogenous ketones on the planet that you can get that are actually effective at doing this are from me, okay? You can't, the ones that go into the brick and mortar stores, the ones from the health and nutrition stores, those are not guaranteed to put you in a state of ketosis like these will, because they don't have 9 patents on it like we do. So you want to get in a state of ketosis, your body starts to learn how to burn fat as fuel, And then you start to have all these amazing benefits, including fat loss.
Awesome. Amazing stuff. Considering all of the things that have gone on, and it's funny, because I eat carbs here once in a while too. I try not to, but it's like,
It tastes amazing.
yeah, right, exactly. Brain food. But I also understand the benefits of being in ketosis, because I literally did drop about 10 pounds not long ago, which, yeah, that and intermittent fasting. And amazingly enough, the intermittent fasting thing, I used to be a solid believer in breakfast.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Nope.
I don't eat it anymore.
Nope.
I'll eat somewhere around 1 or 2 o'clock.
Sure.
I'll hit my caloric, whatever I need to stay in deficit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like sometimes I'm only having 1 meal a day and I'm still flying. I'm not slowing down. I'm not losing brain power. It's just I'm just humming and going.
When you do that, when you do intermittent fasting, your body naturally becomes deprived of carbs, okay, and it kicks into that state of ketosis, and it actually gives you energy from the sort of fat that you have. And so people who think, if I fast, and by the way, I do a 60-hour supported fast every month. So for 60 hours, 2.5 days, I don't eat. Okay, I drink ketones, I have bone broth, I have supporting DNA repair supplementation, and I drink all the water I want, black coffee if I want to. But supported fasting actually is healthy for our bodies because it helps to reset all the microbiome. As I mentioned before, it also helps to gain better metabolism. And that's ultimately the goal for all of us, right? We want to have a healthy metabolism. The way to do that is to reduce your body fat and increase your body muscle mass.
Interestingly enough, you said reset the microbiome. When you starve out all the stuff that's in there looking for all the bad sugars, they can't live. The good ones don't starve.
That's right.
Yeah, that's real cool that you mentioned that. So as far as you, where you share your story and where people can find you, where do they start? Like, where can they come and meet the Jeff Schafer?
Well, ironically, I Get Fit. So it's an acronym for Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So you can find me on all 3 platforms. On Facebook, you can just look up Jeff Schafer in Painesville, Ohio. You'll see me standing there with a smile on my face and a blue suit, and that's how you know it's me. You can find me on Instagram at Keto Inc., KETOINK 216. That is my Instagram handle, and then you can find me on TikTok as Jeff Schafer 216. And again, you'll find the same profile picture everywhere. If you want to go to my website, you can go to my website as well. That's jeffreyschafer.shopketo.com.
Is that R-E-Y or R-Y?
E-R-Y, Jeffery.
Got it.
And last name is Schafer.
Awesome.
That's .shopketo.com. I always encourage everybody who wants to learn more about exogenous ketones, though, to send me a message so we can have a conversation, because I definitely want to make sure not only are you getting what you need to be your best, but also save the most money.
Yeah. The idea of being in a business is not just to make profit; it's also to help.
Absolutely not. I want to make sure everybody is taken good care of. I want to make sure we've had a conversation. I understand what your goals are, where you're coming from, who you are, who's in your circle, and then how we get you there. Like I said, the coaching calls is big for me. I actually have one coming up here shortly after we're done, and I'm looking forward to that because I get to connect with people on a very personal level. That's
some of the most valuable things right there. When you can do that, there are certain businesses that's difficult, but for the most part, again, that servant leader attitude, it really matters. Guys, if you have been listening and know who we are, you know all of those links and all of those usernames, they'll all be down in the comments down below here on YouTube and also on anchor.fm. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell right next to it so you know when we get another awesome guest like Jeff popping in and sharing some good info. Jeff, thanks so much for coming and hanging out, man.
No, thank you, Mike. I really appreciate the opportunity to share my story. Any chance I have to connect with people that really need assistance and kind of guidance through this amazing thing we call life, I'll jump on it.
That's amazing. Guys, if you're also listening on any of the podcast platforms, I think we're on 12 of them right now. 12. Make sure you subscribe or download. If you're listening to us on anchor.fm, which is our home plate, feel free to share some love and give us some support there. We could always use it. We are on Instagram. We do have javachatpodcast.com. Feel free to stop by. The big one here, honestly, isn't just so much that we appreciate you guys stopping, and we do. You got to know somebody else, though, that could probably benefit from the information that was shared here today.
That's right.
Do them a favor, not us. Send this to them. Share it with them. Instant messenger, text, send them an email or something, because you can share it right from the buttons below. Give them some value, be the beginning, if you will. We really appreciate all of you making the time and taking the time to come and listen to us and come and sharing and learning and absorbing, et cetera, et cetera. If you have any questions, make sure you connect with Jeff where he's at, or you can put comments and questions down in the comments too. We'll be sure to try to pass them on to him and he'll answer as he can.
Absolutely.
Till next time, thank all of you. We love you. Make sure you stay up, stay safe, stay healthy, and live. For myself, Coffee with Mike, and for Jeff Schafer. Ciao for now.
For more information on Java Chat, visit www.javachatpodcast.com. You've been listening to Coffee with Mike on Java Chat. Tune in weekly to this podcast for the next episode. You can also download or subscribe today on your favorite podcast platform. A production of Oasis Media Group, LLC. Located in Las Vegas, Nevada. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved.